Okay guys, what we've got here is Tippmann Sierra 1. It's a marker that was developed by Tippmann a few years ago as a replacement for their Tippmann 98 range. It's identical to our Tippmann 98 internally and is designed to look like the M4 or AR-15 style rifles. It, in this configuration, comes with a square magazine, which I don't have and will have to source. I managed to get this one quite cheaply. It comes with a folding stock, which is a depressible, collapsible stock that folds into the back half of the marker, and it's also multi-position adjustable. I think it's 5-position collapsible stock, so it suits a wide variety of sizes. Comes with the tools to be can be stored in the magazine. This particular one has a magazine that's square, although the Bravo magazine, the slightly curved one, will also fit it. Comes with the front shroud as standard and has a Tippmann 98 threaded barrel. On the back side is the standard Tippmann 98 feed neck. Opens in the same way as the Tippmann 98s did. It folds open and takes a gravity feed hopper. Is adjustable to have, you could fit a Cyclone onto this if you wanted to. Why somebody would buy one and then put a Cyclone on it and not buy a Tippmann A5 in the first place, I don't know. It would have a similar performance to a Tippmann A5 when it had the Cyclone attached. This one is quite dirty, as you can see. Nobody's ever cleaned the paint off it, so I'm going to strip this and do a video on it while I do it and just run over how it goes together. So the first thing I'm going to do is unscrew the barrel. Standard Tippmann 98 thread, as you can see. I'm going to put that to one side. I'm going to flip the marker over so I have access to the bolts, and I think it's a 1/8 I'm going to need. See, pick that up off the floor. And I'll begin undoing all of the bolts that hold it together. I'll come back once I've got the bolts out. Okay, I'm back. This has turned into a drama. The previous owner hasn't really looked after it as well as it could have been, and I've had a Allen key bolt that was completely stripped off, and in order to get it out, I tried various methodologies, including various drill bits and tapping on the end of this to try and seat it, including different shapes, and nothing seemed to work. So I gradually drilled it down with various sized drill bits, and then the receiver halves seem to want to lose their internals, so I pried it apart very carefully and removed the internals, and as I did so the nut snapped. So that's saved me a bit of hassle, because it means that I can now remove the broken nut and replace that. I'm going to have to punch out the bolt and put a new bolt in there, and this one has still got some of the head of the bolt stuck down in there, and I'm hoping that will come out reasonably easily. So I'm going to work on that. The gun's pretty full of gunk, and I've completely taken everything apart. I'm going to give it a good scrub down, and I'll go back through the assembly and disassembly later on. I was hoping to do that step by step, but it hasn't worked out that way. So I will attempt to remove the pieces and get back to you. So removing those two pieces turned out to be no drama. I put the end of the nut in the back of it and gave it a tap and it popped out, and I've turned it round so that the marred side's inside and it does thread from the other side, which is nice. This is the little piece that was left over from the nut that was threaded off, and that's popped out without any issues as well. It took me all of about 2 minutes. So that's excellent, and I've got spare nuts in my parts kit, so I can put another nut in there, no problem. Kind of looks to be in overall okay shape, but it's a bit dirty, so I'll give it a good clean and I'll come back to you. Okay, this resembles something akin to my normal cleaning setup. I've got warm water in a bath, in a tub, and a toothbrush, and I've stripped the gun to the greatest degree that I can really do it easily, and I'm going to give it a good scrub down and let it dry, and then come back to you with the reassembly. Basically only use the scrubbing brush and a pull through to clean the barrel out, and got a towel down there. It's just a hand soap that I'm using as well, not detergent, but detergent won't hurt either. Okay, all done. That's the colour of the water, full of bits of crap, bits of paint shell. Cleaned all the pieces, cleaned the sides of the receivers. Just have to wait for it to dry now. Okay, so everything's clean and drying now, and it's time to reassemble and oil up the marker. I'm using a paintball based oil. Don't use a petroleum based one, otherwise you'll chew your O-rings. The first part you need to start with one of these is the power tube, and this is the power tube here, and it goes in. So the part that you actually want to have laying flat is the part where the ball feeds in, and you lay it flat on the ground or on your bench and pop the power tube in. You'll see where it slots, and in the back side of it go two little Allen key nuts to hold it in. It's very soft aluminium, so take care with it, don't cross thread it. Just start with your fingers and you should feel it hook into the threads. Then take your appropriate sized Allen key and carefully tighten it up. Doesn't need to be really tight, just finger tight. It's not going to rattle loose, it's going to be held by the receiver halves, and so it doesn't need to be torqued down. Then lay it flat and proceed with the rest of the assembly. Now, this particular marker has several guide pins that guide its assembly, and these are important to have in place. And there's one up here just at the top of the power tube, and the other one is just below it, I believe. Now, on the front of the power tube goes the smaller of the two bolts. This one with the peg facing backwards, and it's got a little hole in it, and that's where the drive hook goes into. Now, before you can put this component in, you have to put the rear bolt in. This is a anti-chop bolt, and you line it up so that the hole in the insert that goes in the back of the bolt lines up with the hole in the side, and the milled surfaces go face down. This is important because that's what catches the sear, and you put that in, and in the hole goes the cocking handle. It slides in like that. Now you can then install the linkage arm. That's what it's actually called. That's the term, and that slots down in there. Now I advise with the trigger assembly that you look closely at a instruction manual, because it's going to be very hard to zoom in and show you with any clarity how it goes together. I'm going to attempt it, but the next bit you also need to know is to put the buffer O-ring in, put your drive spring in, and you just need to rotate your cocking handle until the drive spring slides into the bolt, and then put the guide pin over the top. Now I'm going to turn this around so that you can zoom in and try and get a close-up on the assembly of the trigger internals. These two silver bolts go down in the bottom of the handle, and they are the bolts that hold the ASA on. The detent goes facing that way. Now the pins go in like this. And the short one goes up the front here. The black one I think the one for the sear. And the sear goes in this way. The little black drive spring goes like that. And the trigger goes in like that, with the spring like that. Now the other piece we need to install is this is a little bit tricky. The spring goes underneath. Goes in the hole. Put that on top, and the spring Okay, so now you've got your hopper latch retaining device in place. You've got your detenton, these are the common things that are forgotten. All your trigger assembly is correct, your sear is in place, your drive spring and your buffer are in place. Then I would go and place a little bit of oil on some of the working parts, a little bit on the front bolt, a few drops, some on the rear, somewhere it slides maybe, and on the springs and the sear, anything where water might have got, help repel any rust. And don't really need a whole lot. Next thing to do is to insert the drive spring into the appropriate part in the stock and push forward and line it up with the holes. Now pop the top cover on. And then functions check it, cock it, see if it fires, it does. Cock it, see if the safety holds, it does. Fire it, it works, great. Then I proceed to go assemble the rest of the gun with the ASA reattached, put the bolts back in and carry on like that. I'll come back once it's all together and I will test fire it. Okay, it's all back together. HPA tank on, it's cocked, and we're going to test fire now. All works, good. Safety works. Time to degas. That's all, catch you next time folks.